Good evening, everybody. My name is Thomas Caracella, and with me today I have three of my roommates. We have John, Brooke, and Lou. So the purpose of today is to give an informative speech about natural disasters, and we will go into depth talking about specific events that have happened in the past, and again we'll talk about the events themselves, kind of how they occur, and lastly we will also go over how to mitigate some of the effects of these natural disasters. Even though natural disasters happen naturally, unfortunately there aren't a lot of ways to help mitigate these effects, but we will try to cover as much as we can to help people stay engaged and ultimately just be prepared for a natural disaster. So the first thing we're going to talk about today is going to be earthquakes. The first event that we have is in Fukushima, Japan. This happened on March 11, 2011. The significance with this event was a 9.0 on the Richter scale in Japan, actually in the ocean. And what happened with this was it destroyed a lot of inland cities. And in addition to that, after the major earthquake itself, there was two tsunamis. The first one occurring taking out one of the nuclear facility plants right off the coast of Japan. In addition, there was a second one about 8 minutes after. So what happened in this event was when the tsunamis hit, it cooled the reactors, causing them to ultimately fail, and there was a breach in the reactors, and a lot of the radioactive fluids got into the ocean, causing a lot of damage to the marine life around the area, and as well as neighboring cities and ports in the area. So for about 4 to 6 days, there was no containment on these nuclear, what am I trying to say? Nuclear
Incidents.
No, not incidents. Radioactive material essentially spilling into the ocean. So there was no containment for about 4 to 6 days on this. And eventually, once everything was all said and done, there was about 19,000 people dead from just this event itself, with the flooding and the earthquake. So we'll talk about ways to try to mitigate the effects of dealing with earthquakes. So one of the first one, let's understand what an earthquake is. So essentially an earthquake consists of two tectonic plates coming together. We use this for example, our DS and our tablet. Pay attention closely as I deliver this information to you. So what we have here essentially is a tectonic plate and another one, and what happens is they either collide with each other, and what happens is one goes above the other or goes below. This is called the subduction zone, causing the tectonic plates to rub together, shaking the earth as we know it. So that's a little information about what a earthquake is itself. So in addition to that, we're going to talk about some things we can do to help mitigate these effects. And that would firstly be not living in the Ring of Fire, which consists of anything along the Pacific coast. So it would be Japan, Russia, California. Any of those areas are extremely prone to having earthquakes due to the subduction zones and the tectonic plates colliding. Nextly, practice safety drills. So again, everyone's been to elementary school, so whenever there's an earthquake, you want to get underneath a desk or any type of object in a doorway. Practice those safety drills to help mitigate those effects of the roof falling down on you. And as well, in emergency cases, always have a food supply that will last you the duration of the event. The next event we will talk about is hurricanes. And the first event we're going to talk about is going to be Hurricane Katrina, which happened on August 29, 2005. When the hurricane first got into the Gulf of Mexico, it was a Category 5, and then soon after when it approached inland, it was down to a Category 3. The storm itself was 400 miles long, and there's about $100 billion worth of damage caused. I believe you guys were in the area. Brooke, you might have been in the area during the time of Katrina. Did you have to evacuate at any time? Mm-mm. Okay, so South Carolina wasn't too affected in that time. Alright, cool. So, with that, the storm actually caused a lot of flooding along the Mississippi River, affecting neighboring states and cities, causing a lot of transportation, any fishing, any production facilities along that lines would also be affected as well. In the end, 2,000 people died and 80% of New Orleans was flooded. Of course, if you didn't know, New Orleans itself is also below sea level. So when the levees broke, the city completely flooded itself. And as far as the storm itself, it went through the Gulf and reached all the way to Canada, causing large amounts of rainfall. Lastly, hurricanes typically start just due to cold and warm fronts in the ocean. A lot of the hot air and cold air rising creates a storm itself, and eventually it creates a big storm moving in whatever path it chooses to take. So the thing with hurricanes we want to be careful with is not being ignorant and staying in the path of the hurricane itself, staying in our house. We want to evacuate if necessary. So having a good evacuation plan and getting out of the area is always best, and that's the first thing you want to take when dealing with a hurricane. If you do have to leave your house, always board it up. Try to put sandbags in front of the doors and any places where water could leak in, and then essentially placing plywood on your windows so nothing is busted or broken. And lastly, if you can't do any of that, ensure that you have proper insurance to cover your house, because at the end of the day, if you don't have insurance, then you'll be paying out of pocket. Makes sense, right? So in conclusion, we talked about two major natural disasters, earthquakes and hurricanes. The thing is with them, we can't prepare for them essentially, and what we want to try to do is be best prepared as possible to mitigate the effects of these natural disasters. So again, for earthquakes, you want to try to not live near the Ring of Fire, which is located in the Pacific Rim, or anything along that. Practice safety drills, and then in addition to that, you could possibly, with earthquakes, it could cause tsunamis, so we want to place those buoys out in the ocean to help detect the fluctuation of water and let civilians know that there is something going on. And lastly, for hurricanes, the big thing with that is we want to stay informed with weather in our area. We also want to have an evacuation plan and make sure our house is protected and insured, and this will help mitigate any effects of that. So with that, I hope you yourselves are informed and the class is informed of natural disasters, how to mitigate them, and take the lessons learned from previous events. And are there any questions that you guys have this time?
No questions.
No, we don't need that.